Okay guys, so we have a quiz tomorrow and this is what your quiz is going to look like. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start from 1 through 6, so if you want to fast forward through this part of the video, feel free to, but I know that some of you are absent and want to know maybe a refresher, so I'm just going to go over this, okay? So it says here, show work for 1, 2, 5, and 6, and then circle all final answers. So 1, 2, 5, and 6, so the other ones don't require work. Alright, so I know that a lot of you don't have this calculator, I mean, no one has this calculator at home. Some of you might have your own scientific. But you can always go online and just, Google scientific calculator online, maybe an online scientific calculator, so that you are able to, do some of these functions like cube rooting and square rooting, okay? So please try to find a way. If you don't, then come by during homeroom and borrow a calculator from me. Just make sure I get it back and try to get it done during homeroom, okay? Alright, or you can follow along on the video here and just hope that you'll know what to do when you get to the quiz. So number 1, I see an equation, I see a variable that's cubed. So in order to find the value of s, to solve it, I have to do the inverse operation of cubing, which is cube rooting. So I'm going to cube root whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. This cube root cancels out with this cubed, and you're left with s. Now you have to take the cube root of 216. Now let's say you don't have a cube root, let's say you have just a basic function calculator at home, then try just, taking like numbers and multiplying it by itself 3 times to see if it'll be 216. Like I just tried 5 times 5 times 5, that's too low. So let's try 6 times 6 times 6, and that is actually the correct one, so the answer is 6. Now if you have the calculator, you just press 216 and then shift plus minus, and you get this cube root, so it's 6. So the answer is 6, and it's only 6, no plus or minus. Number 2, y cubed, okay? So I need to cube root that to get the y. Cube root one side, you got to do the other side, so y equals 27 cube root, so you get 3. And was starting at positive, so it stays positive. No negatives. You only do that with square roots. Now number 3, no work is necessary. You're literally just going to multiply -4 times -4 times -4. Or 4 negative and take that to the 3rd power, and you should get -64. If you do it the long way, -4 times -4 times -4, you still get -64. Which makes sense, right? Number 4, 10 squared, you literally just do 10 times 10, or you can do 10xy2, still gives you 100, or 10x squared, that still gives you 100, so done. Right? Here, you got p to the 3rd equals -1000, so we're going to cube root it to undo that. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. So you cancel that, and then p equals cube root of 1000. If you don't have a cube root, just say, well, it's probably 10 times 10 times 10, right? But it's probably -10. -10 times -10 times -10, it gives you a -1000. So the cube root of -1000 is -10. If you're using the calculator, you press -1000 and then you just shift plus minus, and you have your answer, -10. And it's only -10. Number 6. Alright, so square root both sides. Square root because this is squared, so to undo that you have to square root it. That's the inverse operation of squaring. So you can get x equals, let's take square root of 49, so shift x squared and you get 7, or you can be like, well, what times itself will give you 49? It's 7, right? But remember, it's plus or minus 7, because 7 squared, 7 times 7 gives you 49, but so does -7 times -7 gives you 49 as well. That's why this one has 2 answers, okay? Remember what I told you guys, if you leave out the negative, you're going to get 5 points taken off, okay? Number 7. So this was the actual homework that was assigned tonight, okay? A square blanket, that's a keyword, has an area of, and that's another keyword, of 400 square inches. What is the length of one side of the blanket? So here's a square blanket, so draw the picture, okay? And the area is given to you. The area is already 400 square inches. Now what is the length? So let's call this side, okay? How long is that side? Well, if you're going from area to finding the side, you're going to have to take the square root. So the side length is going to be the square root of 400 inches squared. Okay? So square root of 400, well, is that 10 times 10? Well, 10 times 10 is 100, right? So it's got to be bigger. Is it 15 times 15? No, that's not 400. How about 16 times 16? Not 400. Well, it's actually 20 times 20. That gives you 400. Now, that's if you don't have a scientific calculator. But if you have this calculator, you just take 400 and you square root and get 20. So it should get smaller, guys. 20 inches, okay? And it's one-dimensional inch because you're finding this one side length. It's not inches squared anymore. This is just 20 inches. That's not the same as the area, okay? So the area gets a dimension of 2, but the side length gets a dimension of 1. Number 8. What would be the area of a square desk with the side length of 196? Okay, once again, you have a square, and it says what is the area with the side length. So let's go ahead and, you have a square with a side length of 196. Okay, so one of the side lengths is 196, and we'll say units because it doesn't tell me what the units are. Now it wants to know what the area is. What would be the area? So, well, look, let's think about what we have here. Area equals length times width, right? Which is 196 units and then squared. So that's going to be a huge number. 196 times 196 is 38,416. 38,416 units squared. What is the area? Yeah, so it should have 2 dimensions, okay? So that's it. So notice how I'm drawing the pictures. It's a very good idea always to draw pictures wherever you can, whether it's this problem or something else. So find the side length of a cube. Okay, so let me draw a cube. Now I showed you guys to do the offset, and you can just corner to corner, corner to corner. I just kind of did that fast. Sorry about that. So find the side length. So it wants you to find the side length with a given volume. So the volume is 343. So V inside, I wrote it inside the cube. So let me get that a little closer. I wrote 343, and it's feet cubed. Okay, that's feet cubed. All right, so it's asking you to find the side length. So remember, when you're finding side length, you're going to have to take the root. But in this case, it's cube root, not square root, because you're starting with a cube. So cube root the 343 feet cubed. All right, so you're going to have to cube root that. Now, if you don't have a cube root function at home, multiply something by itself, by itself, by itself, and see if it comes out to be 343. So I don't know, 15 times 15 times 15. Oh, that's huge. That's too big. Okay, so I don't know what my brain was thinking. So let's try to get a number that will be 343. Well, 10 times 10 times 10 is already too big. So let's try, I don't know, 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. That's 512, but that's too big. We need 343. So how about 7 times 7 times 7? 343, there it is. Okay, now that's just by trial and error, but it is 7. Okay, the cube root of 343 is 7, and then this cancels out with that too, so it's just 7 feet is one side. Now if you're using this calculator, you just need to press 343, which I have already, and then shift that, and then 7. Okay, so the answer is 7 feet. Find the volume of a cube. So here's a cube, so let me draw a square, then an offset square, connect the corners, connect the corners, connect the corners, connect the corners, and it has a side length of 4 units, so I'm just going to say 4 units. So it wants to find the volume, the inside, right, which is going to get bigger. How do you find the volume of a cube? Length times width times height, which is just 4 units cubed. So 4 times 4 times 4, right? You can do that in any basic calculator. And then that comes out to be, my brain I don't trust right now, so 4 times 4 times 4, 64. 64, and then units times units times units, it's units cubed. So it's 64 UN cubed. I'll just abbreviate that. Okay? Now numbers 11 and 12, it says to find x. So if you're given the volume and you're trying to find x, which looks like it's a side length, you're going to have to cube root that. So cube root this 125 m to the 3rd power. Cube root that to find a side length. What do you think that number is going to be? Something times something times something. Itself is what? Probably 5, because I see a 5 at the end of that. So yeah. Or just take the cube root of that, and it's 5. So 5 what? This cancels with that. It's 5 meters. It's 5 meters. So this side is 5 meters, which makes sense, because if you take that side times that side and times the height, that'll give you the 125, okay? All right, this one's a square, so it's already giving you the area. So if the area is this region right here. So if you're trying to get the side, you're going to have to square root this. not cube root, but square root, because you're starting with a square. So let's talk about that. All right, 144, what would multiply by itself to get you 144? 12, right? 12. If you use this calculator, you just do shift x squared, it tells you that it's 12. So it's 12, and this little invisible 2 cancels with that one, so it's 12 feet. That means this one was 12 feet by 12 feet, and that's how the 144 even became existing, okay? Or happened to be the answer. Now, numbers 13 and 14, it says to find the area. So if this is, they're giving you the side length, right? So how do you find this area? You're going to have to do area equals length times width. Okay, so area equals 9 centimeters squared. So that's 81 centimeters squared. Okay, find the volume. Well, if you're given a side length, you're going to have to do length times width times height. Okay, so volume equals, whoa, this is going to be huge. 216 times 216 times 2. Okay, let me just write this. See, my brain was just kind of getting away from me. Let's make this easier. 216 meters and just cube it. Yeah. So it's about to be big because I have 216 times 216 times 216. All right, fine. Sure, why not? 216 times 216 times 216. Whew, big number. That's fine. So 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. So 10, comma, 077, comma, 696. And then you got meters cubed. There we go. All right, so if you are just following along, that's not enough. There's one student I'm thinking about in my 3rd academic. You know who you are. You need to make sure you do this over and over again. But it's not just for him. I need the rest of you guys to not just listen to me and just do it. I would say, hey, cover up the problem and see if you can do it again. All right, and then if you get stuck, just come back and watch the video. All right, this is the end of the video.